Imagine giving a company half your life, not just your time, not just your labor, but your holidays, your weekends, your health, your silence, your loyalty, and then finding out that none of it mattered. Not really, because when the moment came, no one sat down across from you and said your name with respect. No one looked at everything you had done and said thank you. No one even made a human decision. A system did. An algorithm. A spreadsheet. A cold process somewhere above your head that looked at rows, numbers, categories, and cost, and decided that you could disappear. Tonight's story is about a man who gave Microsoft 25 years of his life and still ended up being reduced to data. According to the Reddit post, he was the kind of employee companies love to talk about but rarely love back. Quiet, reliable, brilliant, the kind of person who does not self-promote, does not complain, does not demand attention, does not make speeches about how important he is. He just works, and keeps working. The post says he rarely called in sick, that even when he was unwell, he would still work from home, that he worked 60-hour weeks, that he took on-call shifts during Christmas and Thanksgiving so coworkers with children could be home instead. Think about what kind of person that is. Not the flashy one, not the political one, not the one who knows how to perform value. The invisible one, the dependable one, the one who holds the machine together quietly enough that people forget the machine would shake without him. And maybe that is why the story feels so heavy. Because people like that always believe, at least a little, that loyalty still means something. That if you keep showing up, if you keep solving problems, if you make yourself useful enough, necessary enough, good enough, then one day the system will recognize you. Maybe not with love, but with fairness, with dignity, with memory. And according to the story, that never happened. A few months earlier, he had received his 25-year crystal. That small polished symbol companies give people when they want to turn decades of labor into a keepsake. A shiny object, a milestone, proof that you stayed, proof that you gave them years no one can ever return to you. And then, not long after that, he was told he was out. His last day, according to the post, would be his 48th birthday. There is something especially cruel about that, because birthdays are supposed to mark life, time, survival, movement, but in stories like this, they become something else. A line in the sand, a date you remember for the wrong reason forever. Not the day you were celebrated, the day you were erased. And the post makes the story even darker by describing the man behind it. She says he is autistic, that he has multiple sclerosis, that despite all of that, he stayed loyal, kept showing up, kept fixing things, kept mentoring people, kept being useful. Useful enough to save them money, useful enough to solve major bugs, useful enough for executives to know his name, but not useful enough in the end to be spared by whatever process selected him. And maybe that is the most modern horror of all. Not that a person can be fired. That has always happened. It is the way it happens now. So clean, so distant, so administrative. No hatred, no screaming. No visible cruelty. Just a line in a system, a decision optimized somewhere above human feeling. And once that happens, all the years underneath it begin to look different. The long nights, the missed holidays, the extra effort, the problems solved quietly while everyone else slept. They stop looking like devotion and start looking like sacrifice offered to something that was never capable of loving you back. That is the real darkness in stories like this. Not anger, indifference, because anger at least acknowledges that you exist. Indifference is colder. Indifference lets you give 25 years and then turns you into a number. The post says he won awards, that he mentored hundreds of people, that he fixed issues worth millions, that even leadership knew his name, and yet when the system moved, none of that formed a shield around him. None of it became protection. None of it outweighed whatever variables sat inside the decision. That is what makes corporate stories feel so disturbing when they are told this way. They reveal that memory is not built into the machine. Your effort may live in people. Your sacrifice may live in outcomes. Your fingerprints may be all over the place. But the machine itself does not remember you. It remembers metrics. And once a person understands that, something inside them changes. Because there is a grief that comes with losing a job, And then there is another kind of grief entirely, the grief of realizing that the relationship you thought you had with your work was never real. You thought you were building a life. The system thought it was allocating resources. You thought your consistency meant trust. The system thought it was labor supply. You thought years created value that would protect you. The system saw years as data. And that kind of realization does not only hurt in the present. It reaches backward. It changes the feeling of everything that came before. Suddenly, all the moments of going above and beyond stop feeling noble. They begin to feel haunting. All those extra hours. All those personal sacrifices. All those quiet yes. For what? For a crystal. For a birthday layoff. For an ending delivered by logic that does not know your face. And maybe that is why stories like this spread so far. Because even people who have never worked at Microsoft understand the shape of it. They understand what it means to keep giving more because you think someday it will matter. They understand what it means to believe that being useful is the same as being safe. And they understand the quiet humiliation of finding out those are not the same thing at all. There is also something tragic about the kind of worker described in the post. The quiet expert. The behind-the-scenes problem solver. The person who does not market themselves well because they are too busy doing the actual work. Those people often believe that the work will speak for itself. But systems do not listen the way humans do. Systems do not admire loyalty. They measure, they sort, they cut. And then everyone left behind tells themselves it was impersonal, as if that makes it hurt less. But impersonal pain can be worse. Because at least with a personal betrayal, you can point to a face. With this kind of betrayal, all you can point to is structure, process, policy, optimization, a decision with no heartbeat. That is harder to fight, harder to forgive, and maybe impossible to forget. Because how do you carry that after 25 years? How do you wake up the next morning knowing that one institution held so much of your time, your identity, your routine, your worth, and in the end it all collapsed into a calculation? How do you separate yourself from that? How do you decide who you are when the place that shaped your adult life lets you go like deleting a row? That is what makes this story more than just another layoff post. It is about modern emptiness. The emptiness of being highly skilled and still disposable. The emptiness of being loyal in a system that does not reward loyalty. The emptiness of realizing that invisible labor stays invisible right up until the day it is no longer needed. And then there is the wife writing the post. That changes the emotional texture too. Because now the story is not only about a worker. It is about a witness. Someone watching a person they love be humiliated by something too large and too cold to confront directly. She cannot argue with an algorithm. She cannot shame a spreadsheet. She cannot look indifference in the eye. All she can do is tell strangers what happened, hoping maybe that if enough people hear it, it will feel less unreal. And that may be the most human part of the whole thing. The attempt to turn data back into a person. To say, he is not a head count. He is not a variable. He is not a cost. He is a man who gave years. He is a man who kept showing up. He is a man who deserved to be seen before he was discarded. And maybe that is why this story lingers. Because beneath the corporate language and the modern machinery, it is still an old story. A person gives more than they should. A system takes all of it. And when the system is done, it does not say thank you. Simply moves on. That is the part people remember. Not just that he lost the job, but the way it happened, the coldness of it, the precision of it, the sense that a whole life of usefulness can be converted into something so small. One decision, one process, one line item, 25 years reduced to almost nothing. And that is what makes this feel less like career advice and more like horror. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind, the kind where no one screams, nothing explodes, and yet something deeply human still gets erased. By the end, there is no grand lesson. Only a warning. Do not confuse being needed with being protected. Do not confuse loyalty with safety. Do not confuse years with mercy. Because some systems will take everything you can give them, and when they are finished, they will still call it impersonal. And maybe that is the darkest part of all. Not that the machine did it, that the machine was allowed to matter more than the man.